So today we are starting with the revenue recognition.
जी
So I'll take you to the notes which I have made for this revenue recognition, and we can start from there, right? So I'm doing the recording. Don't worry, I'll send you the link as well. So here we are in the accounting standard ASC 606, accounting standard codification, ASC 606 revenue recognition. So first I'll walk you through the history of ASC 606, how this has been formed, and then 5-step model and the revenue recognition. And then there are few more additional topics to be covered within the ASC 606 in addition to those 5-step models. So we'll be covering all these things in details. Right. So first, I'll walk you through like the history of ASC 606, why it has come in 2017, and as it has made it mandatory for the implementation in 2018 for the listed company, and 2019 for the non-issuers. So earlier there were many standards for recognizing the revenue for different industry, but major standard was ASC 605 earlier, which is like revenue recognition standard before ASC 606 came in place, right? The objective of like earlier, there was like ASC 605, there was industry specific guidelines like for healthcare, for technology sector, for oil and gas, for real estate. There are so many different guidance for there earlier, right? And same as like there was earlier codification ASC 605-35, which was the revenue recognition for construction type or long-term contracts, right? And same way ASC 605-985 was there for recognition of revenue for the software income, right? So all these earlier revenue recognition standard and the guidance which were available earlier has been clubbed together and tried to align with the IFRS 15 to make it more globally acceptable. That was the reason and intent behind bringing ASC 606, which is a new accounting standard codification, has came in picture in 2017 and has been implemented for all the listed company in USA in 2018. So there are few things which have been combined together, which is like ASC 606, sorry, ASC 605, ASC 605-985 for the software revenue, ASC 605-35, which is for long-term contracts, specific guidance for the, you can say, healthcare industry, real estate industry, technologies industries, and many more guidance which were individually there earlier. They have been clubbed together, and all these revenue recognition standard, they have tried to align with the IFRS to make it globally more acceptable and comparable. However, there are few things they have kept it separate, right, which include revenue from lease contract. For that they have come up with the separate accounting standard codification, which is 842. Revenue from financial services, that also they have kept separately under ASC 944, right? Financial instrument, income from financial instrument, that also they have kept separate in the financial instrument accounting standard codification 825. Guarantee contract, that also they have kept it separate 460. And non-monetary exchange transaction between the entity in small business, so that's being covered in the fair value measurement standard, which is ASC 840, I think, right? I'm not sure, I think ASC 926 for that, right? So those are standards, those are you can say revenue recognition stuff which is being already covered in different standard has been left behind, but only those things which is being more purely related to the recurring revenue income and revenue recognition has been clubbed together and bring into the new accounting standard codification, which is called ASC 606. So that's a brief history about how this ASC 606 has been came into the picture back in 2017, right? After that, if you see like the key objective of bringing ASC 606 into place is to improve inconsistencies in the revenue recognition requirement. Like earlier in ASC 606 also, there were so many abnormalities or dissimilarities or inconsistencies in recognizing the revenue point in time over the period of time for one industry, for another industry. Same as like earlier we were discussing ASC 605-35, which is for long-term contract, ASC 605-985, which is for software revenue, for guidance for real estate industry. They all are having so much inconsistency, in recognizing the revenue. So objective of bringing ASC 606 into the picture was to remove all those inconsistencies and make a single standard for the revenue recognition, right? And it provide more robust framework for addressing the revenues issues rather than having like separate guidance or illustrations and so on and so forth thing. They have made it a robust accounting standard which will be covering all the requirement and needs for the respective category of industries revenues. And it also they also made it align with the IFRS 15. So there are some gaps, there are some difference between ASC 606 and IFRS 15, but not really too much, to be very honest with you. There are few differences which we agree to it, but there are most of the things what comes in ASC 606 is being in line with the IFRS 15. So to make it standard more comparable in the global market or international market, so that like the user of the financial statement make it more comparative use of the revenue recognized in US company or any other company in different part of the world. So that's the main objective and intent behind bringing ASC 606 into the picture, right? And the FASB, do you know what is FASB?
FASB, Accounting Standard Board.
Yeah, Financial Accounting Standard Board.
Yes.
So the hierarchy, if I give you like high level overview, like how the standards are being made in USA. So in US, like how we have like in India, we have like parliament, right? We have Sansad Bhavan and the parliament, right? In same way in US, we have Senate and Congress. So Congress is not like how we have Congress in India. So Congress is like parliament over there, right? So those Senate and Congress, they make the bill, they make the legislation, they make the laws, right? So in those legislation and law, they have made the separate body like AICPA, the separate body PCAob. PCAob comes under the umbrella of Security Exchange Act 1933 and Security Act 1934. Right, Security Act 1933 and Security Exchange Act 1934. Under that umbrella, they have made PCAob, and within that PCAob umbrella, they have made SOX. So they are one leg of it, right? And another side is AICPA, which is an independent body, like how we have Institute of Chartered Accountant of India in India, right? So this AICPA make the accounting standard, and those accounting standard they draft it and they send it to the public for the notification and for the recommendation from the public. So after a couple of months, 2 months, 3 months, they get they keep it open for the industry as well as public at a large to share their recommendation on those proposed accounting standard. And after getting all the input from the industry, they will do the modification as and when needed. And then finally it goes to the AICPA committee to make the, within the AICPA, they have like actually 4 bodies. One is the FASB, which make accounting standard. Second is Auditing Standard Board, ASB. And third is like NASBA, which is an examination body of AICPA. And other than that, there is a certain committees also. So within the AICPA, there are different bodies. And the FASB is the body who draft the accounting standard. Then it goes for the public opinion. And after the public opinion, they finalize the standard and give it for the review to the legislators, right? And then after it become an accounting standard codification. That's the overall process of making an accounting standard codification, right?
Right, sir. Take care.
So in the like FASB is the body who promulgate the accounting standard codification, right? And then for the issuer, there in US, the concept is not private company or public company. The private company is called non-issuer and public company is called issuer, right? For AICPA, make the accounting standard for the issuer, non-issuers. And then PCAob adopt the accounting standard promulgated by the FASB, and they make certain customization changes and upgradation required for the issuers company, required for the listed company. So that's how like the high level things are, right? The AICPA make the original accounting standard for the non-issuers, right? For the private company. And then PCAOB adopt those standards and make certain additional requirements for the issuers company.
Issuers मतलब हो गई
Listed company.
अच्छा, issuers मतलब listed company.
Issuers mean listed company or public company whose share are being held by the public at large.
मतलब जो कि stock exchange में listed है.
Yes, absolutely. Like Amazon, Facebook, Intel, Coca-Cola, right? Tesla, where shares are being listed in the respective stock exchange, whether it's a New York stock exchange, which is called NASDAQ, or maybe a different stock exchange. Make sense?
Right, sir.
So this is just a high-level overview. Now let's get into the ASC 606. So this, you can say, page will give you like complete high-level overview of ASC 606 and the 5-step model. And then slowly and gradually we'll get into individual details of the respective step. So here I'm walking you through the high-level overview, complete overview of ASC 606, what you can expect in it. So 5 steps are, first one is identification of contract. So basic thing to recognize the revenue is first and the foremost important thing is whether there is a contract or not a contract between the two parties, right? So that's the most important thing. If there is a contract, then there would be some transaction, then there would be some revenue, right? First and basic most important thing is step 1, which is identification of contract, whether there is a contract between the two parties or not, right? In that you will be I'll walk you through the requirements of any agreement or any offer and acceptance to be a valid contract, which you might have studied in your bachelor's as well in your business law, right?
Right, sir.
You remember some things coming in your mind, right?
Yes,
so basic requirement for a valid contract, there should be an offer, there should be an acceptance, there should be a legal consideration, right, all those things, right?
Right, sir.
So those things will be covering here to be a valid contract. Second thing is collectibility. Hope you remember AS9, you might have studied in your college days, which is the revenue recognition standard in India, right? In that also collectibility is very much important. To recognize any amount to be revenue, you should be sure whether you will be collecting that money or not, right? You can recognize the revenue only and only when the collectibility is assured. If you are not sure about collectibility, then you will not be recognizing the revenue at all. Then there is a concept of portfolio allocation. Sorry, my bad. Portfolio allocation of the contract when like different contracts are like similar in nature. So then we sometimes follow portfolio approach to recognize the revenue. We'll be discussing in detail about that as well. Combining of contract, when two or more contracts are being negotiated together or near about the same time for the same purpose with the same party or the related parties, then those contracts can be combined together and to be recognized the revenue together for them, right? We'll be discussing in detail along with example, right? Don't worry about it. And then last concept you'll be studying here is the contract modification. What is contract modification? If there is a change in price, then it is called contract modification. If there is change in scope, then also it is a contract modification. If both, then also it's a contract modification, right? So this you can expect in the identification of contract with the customer, which is a step 1, right? So far so good.
Right, sir. ठीक है.
Second thing,
except ये portfolio allocation क्या है ये?
Portfolio approach. So portfolio approach means like when you have homogeneous, like for example, telecommunication company, right? Telecommunication company, let's take an example of AT&T, right? So most of our example is being relating to US company, but you can correlate with Airtel in India, right? So AT&T is a telecom service provider in USA, right? Same like how we have Airtel in India. So you are also a customer of Airtel, I am also a customer, and so many people, like maybe like a million number of users for AT&T, right? So contracts are very similar with everyone, right? You are getting like maybe a $50 contract a month, $30 contract a month, $60, $70, or $100 contract. But more or less, the services which AT&T is providing in $30 for each of the customer across the USA is same. What are the services they are providing to the $50 customer is across the USA is same. What are the services they are providing in $70 across the USA is same, right? So I do not need to evaluate each and individual customer agreement. Rather, I'll take this as a portfolio approach. So I'll consider like $50 kind of contract are this in nature, and their revenue should be recognized in this way. Rather than discussing or you can say evaluating agreement with Ankit, agreement with Kamal, agreement with X, agreement with Y, and agreement with Z does not make any sense because all the contracts are 100% same. Right? So that is called portfolio approach of revenue recognition. Right? So next is the step 2. Step 2 is identification of performance obligation. Performance obligation in the contract. So for example, let's say any contract. Let's continue with this AT&T example. So AT&T has entered into an agreement with Ankit to provide telephone services, internet services, and broadband services, as well as you can say TV channels in $50 a month for all the 4 services. Right? In this, for AT&T, what is the performance obligation? First, AT&T need to provide to Ankit the telephone services, right? Second, on their mobile, they need to provide internet services. Third, they need to provide broadband services to their home. Fourth, they need to provide TV services, television services, right? These are the 4 obligations on AT&T. If I'm entering, AT&T is entering into a contract with Ankit, makes sense? Right? This is called identification of performance obligation, what actually is being deliverable from the company side, for which I am receiving the money. Right? For example, you go to General Motors and you buy a car, right? So you have paid money to buy the car. Along with car, they will give you 1 year of warranty, right? In addition to that, they will offer you to buy an extended warranty for 3 years, right? They will give you 1 year insurance, right? They will give you road tax, right? And they will give you certain accessories as well. And in lump sum, you have paid, let's say, $50,000, right? Against those $50,000, what are the responsibility of General Motor Company for you? To deliver your car, give you 1 year insurance, give you 1 year warranty. If you buy extended warranty, then give you extended warranty. And if you buy accessory, to give you accessory, right? These are the 5 performance obligations from their side for the $50,000 which they have received from you, right? Make sense?
Right, sir.
So that is called identification of performance obligation in a contract.
So, मतलब ये हुआ कि परफॉर्मेंस ऑब्लिगेशन मतलब कि जो आप कमिट कर रहे हो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अंदर कि मैं ये सर्विसेज दूंगा या ये गुड्स दूंगा, तो उसको उस ऑब्लिगेशन को पूरा करना.
Yes, absolutely.
उस परफॉर्मेंस ऑब्लिगेशन की एक मतलब पूरा करना भी नहीं, इसके सेंस में बात करें तो वो डिस्टिंक्टली आइडेंटिफाइड होने चाहिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अंदर.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
कि जहाँ पे वो क्लियरली मतलब ये डिफाइन करे कि क्या सर्विसेज देंगे या गुड्स देंगे. Right?
Yes, right. Without which you will not get into an agreement, right? For example, if you go to the McDonald's and you say, give me a veg meal. So you expect a McVeggie burger, you expect a fries, and you expect a cold drink, right? Right? That's what the normal expectation, which is being written on their board. So if you pay them, let's say it's a $10 meal, then you expect these 3 things from them, right? So those 3 things are performance obligation against the payment they have received from you.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So the performance obligation, how do you identify that performance obligation? Distinct goods and services So goods should be distinct from each other. Like McVeggie burger is different, right? Fries are different and cold drink is different. They all are capable of being distinct and separately identifiable. If they are not capable of being distinct, then it is not a distinct goods and services, right? For example, let's say you hire an employee like a peon. So you ask him to do the cleaning services. You ask him, if someone come, you need to provide them waters, tea, coffee, right? And you ask him to do the all, like if you need to buy something from market, you'll ask him to go and do that, right? If sometime you need to you are buying something new and you need to like bring those material to your place, you can ask your peon to go and do that, right? So in that case of scenario, the services are employment services, right? Peon is your employee, but all these services are not distinct for which he is being responsible, because he is being hired to do all those services as clubbed together. Same way, like in which company you work, Aniket?
I work for ACS Solutions, and they are completely into US based है sir. यहाँ पे staffing solutions और IT solutions और मतलब ये staffing provide करते हैं, solutioning IT की.
Right.
तो again services हैं ये भी.
Yes. So for example, in your company, do you have IT help desk?
IT
help desk?
IT help desk, yes sir.
Do you have IT help desk? So what IT help desk team is doing for you? So if you have any problem in software, go to them. If you have any problem in network, then you go to them. If you have any problem in hardware, then also you can go to them, right? So their services are in nature which cannot be distinct for each goods and services, because they are providing services, overall IT support services to you.
Okay.
Right? So in that case, it's a single obligation, providing IT support services, not for only for hardware, not only for software, not only for networking, right? And then the last thing is material right. So we'll be discussing on that as well in detail, what is material right. So this is just high level, very high level, 30,000 feet height. I'm just walking you through the 5-step model. Third step is determining the transaction price. So now you have identified, this is a contract. You have identified these are the couple of obligations, performance obligation you have. Now, what is the price? What is the price for each performance obligation? What is the total price and what is the price for each performance obligation? Let's say, like, have you brought any laptop anytime?
Yes, sir.
Right? So what do you buy along with the laptop, or what do you get along with the laptop? You will get hardware, right? Yes. Your Intel is being installed in it. Your Windows is installed in it. Operating system is installed in it, right? Then you will buy like antivirus also. You buy a bag also, right? So here the company is giving you 5 or 6 things, right? So they are giving you hardware. They are giving you software like operating system, antivirus, Windows, right? And they are giving you bag as well, right? But all these things individually also they say. And let's say you brought the laptop for $1,000, right? For company, they have charged $1,000 for, let's say you buy a laptop of HP. But for company, they need to determine how much transaction price, how much is the sales price for the hardware, how much is the sales price for the operating system, how much is the sales price for the window I have given, how much is the sales price of the antivirus, and how much is the sales price of the backpack which I have given. Right? They need to bifurcate because these are for different service line for them. Right? That is called transaction price, and then allocation of that transaction price to the respective performance obligation. We'll be coming to step 4 for that. So transaction price, it can be fixed, right? In one time, like for example, you purchase a laptop, you have paid $1,000 and you got the laptop, right? It can be variable as well. It can be variable as well. What is variable consideration?
Variable वेरिएबल कंसिडरेशन मतलब लैपटॉप के प्राइस में तो मुझे नहीं लगता कुछ होगा वेरिएबल
there might
कंसिडरेशन।
be different example or different
हाँ
cases.
मतलब डिफरेंट एग्जांपल मैं अपनी कंपनी का लेके दे सकता हूँ कि जैसे ये लोग बिलिंग करते हैं, सो आई कम टू नो कि देयर आर डिफरेंट मेथड्स दे आर फॉलोइंग। ठीक है, डिफरेंट मेथड्स मतलब जैसे टाइम एंड मटेरियल बेसिस पे बिलिंग करते हैं, फिक्स्ड रेट पे बिलिंग करते हैं, परसेंटेज कंप्लीशन पे बिलिंग करते हैं। सो आप टाइम एंड मटेरियल बेस फिक्स्ड वाले पे तो चलो फिक्स्ड प्राइस हो गया कि आपसे साल का इतना पैसा लेंगे और आपको ये सर्विसेज देंगे, बात खत्म। ठीक है, और दूसरा हो गया टाइम मटेरियल बेसिस। आई थिंक ये वेरिएबल हो सकता है कि आपको आप कितने आवर्स की सर्विसेज लेंगे, उससे मेरा रेवेन्यू वेरी कर सकता है।
No, what I know as a layman, the variable consideration absolutely looks like same what you explained. But as per ASC 606, variable consideration is being, let's say, increment to the sales price. Escalation. Have you heard about escalation clause in long-term contracts?
Long-term contracts.
Have you heard about escalation clause?
नहीं सर, नहीं सुना मैं.
Right. Okay. So, like for example, in real estate, generally, there are like long-term contract. Let's say builder contract. For example, you entered into a contract with the builder to make a 10-story building in 3 years. Right? Initially, you guys have negotiated that you will be paying him $400,000 for 10-story building construction. Right? And after a year, inflation has increased. So labor cost has increased, raw material prices has increased. So he'll come back to you, I won't be able to afford to finish this work in $400,000. Right? They may ask you for increment of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So those increments are called variable consideration.
अच्छा ठीक है, तो मतलब ये परसेंटेज कंप्लीशन के बेसिस पे जो हो गया.
So that those all things comes under the fixed pricing. So your rates are fixed. Right? When you are like labor, when you are charging based on number of hours clocked, but your rates are fixed.
Achha.
So that's a fixed price. But variable prices which will increase the revenue in future. And second thing is constraint. Constraints are those elements which will reduce the sales price in future. For example, discounts, rebates, refunds, claims, right? Those all are called constraint to the revenue. Right? In this, we have two methods, expected value method and most likely method. Expected value method, by expected value method, we will calculate the constraint or variable consideration based on the probability of the future for the respective constraint or respective variable consideration. Right? So we'll come to that and we'll do the math and certain example as well. Don't worry. But just I'm throwing thoughts what you can expect, which is coming in ASC 606. Second method is most likely. Most likely is yes or no. Right? In future, whether I am being accepting the discount, I am giving the discount or not giving the discount. Right? If the probability is more than 50% of giving the discount, I'll go with a 100% discount. If the probability is less than 50% of giving the discount, I'll go with no discount pricing. Right? Whereas in expected value method, if let's say the probability is that 60% I'll give the discount and 40% probability is that I'll not give the discount, then discount multiplied by the probability I'll consider in the consideration.
Okay.
Right? We'll do the math and everything. Next is in the determination of transaction price, financing component, significant financing component, not the small financing component, not the routine financing component. For example, in my normal business, I give 30-day credit or 60-day credit for any sales. Let's say I have a showroom of LG, right? And I give like everyone 30-day credit who buy for more than like $1,000 stuff from my electronic shop, right? So for example, I have LG showroom and Aniket has came, he wants to buy 2 LG air conditioners, right? That is worth of, let's say, $2,000. So to Aniket, I have given 30 days credit. So that is a normal credit period. That is not financing arrangement, right? Whereas if I have given him an option, you can buy at $2,000 and give me over the period of 1 year, or give me over the period of 2 years EMI option. And in that case of scenario, I am giving you on finance. I need to bifurcate the financing component in the transaction price and need to recognize that revenue as an interest income, not the sales income.
Okay. अच्छा, अगर वो खुद LG ही उसको फाइनेंस कर रहा है, कोई बाहर का बैंक नहीं कर रहा,
then also it's a finance income for LG.
Even अगर बैंक भी करेगा तो,
if bank is doing, then it goes to bank, then LG will not be involved in it. Right. Like for example, let's say if you come to our website, right? In our website, there is an option to go for EMI to purchase our courses, right? So if you opt that option, they will take your credit card detail and you will get the financing from your credit card company. So I am not financing at all to you. So you are getting the credit from your credit card company. So in that case, for me, it's not a financing. But for example, if my course is of, let's say, $1,000, I'll say you can pay me $100 each month for 10 months. Then I am financing it, right? Then I am financing it. So in those $1,000, I need to calculate the lending rate interest based on my normal borrowing rate. What is my bank borrowing rate? I need to apply that to calculate the finance income. Make sense? Okay. So next is non-cash consideration. So what is non-cash consideration? Have you heard this term before? Have you heard this term before? Non-cash consideration?
Non-cash, nahi sir.
Any guess, any idea?
Non-cash consideration जो मुझे समझ में आ रहा है वो non-cash मतलब हो गया कि kind of goods, supplementary goods, gifts, वो उस तरीके के non-cash जो items हो गए.
For example, when you go to buy a new car and you exchange the old car, right? So those two need to be identified, right? In that, the company is collecting the value lesser than the sales price, right? For example, let's say if you have Honda City car and now you are going to buy an SUV. So you want to give your Honda City car back to the company in exchange of buying new SUV, right? So in that case, the Honda City car value, they will do the valuation of that car and they will reduce that amount from the billing amount to you. Or maybe in the billing, they will do full billing less the consideration they have received in terms of car. So that is called non-cash consideration. Make sense?
अच्छा, तो वो जो वैल्यू को रिड्यूस करेंगे वो नॉन कैश कंसिडरेशन में आएगा.
Yes. Because you have not paid cash for it. You have paid by old car.
Okay.
And then last one is consideration payable to the customer. Have you heard this term before? Nice. Consideration payable to the customer. Like when you buy something from Domino's, along with the pizza, they will give you certain vouchers as well, right? Generally, have you received any such discount voucher from Domino's? Like once you buy a pizza from them, for the next pizza, there's a 50% or 40% discount voucher. They give it to you, right? So that means in future, Domino's is committing you to give you 40% discount for the next pizza you will order. That is a consideration payable to the customer in future, right? Do you have debit card or credit card?
Yes, sir.
Right? So when you swipe through your debit card and credit card for any purchase, do you get payback point, loyalty points, rewards points?
Yes, sir.
What is that? It's a commitment to pay you in future.
Yes, sir.
Right? That comes in the consideration payable to the customer.
राइट सर, जैसे कुछ भी हो गया, मतलब कोई भी गिफ्ट वाउचर से मिल गए,
yes
वो भी एक तरीके के कंसिडरेशन है
yes
पेबल। यहाँ पे जो कंसिडरेशन वर्ड है, वो
hmm.
कंसिडरेशन बार बार जो आ रहा है वो क्या है?
value
कंसिडरेशन क्या है?
value
वैल्यू,
amount
ओके। नॉन
amount
कैश वैल्यू, नॉन कैश अमाउंट भी बोल सकते हैं हम इसको।
but like this is what is ASC languages, or this is what like normally in US we use.
हाँ हाँ, नहीं कोई बात नहीं, मैं समझ रहा हूँ।
So
मैं
we
इसलिए
need to
थोड़ा
be
सा,
familiarize ourselves to get ready for the exam, because like I know like there's a lot of word in India how we use, in US they use it differently.
राइट सर।
So as we are planning to sit for the US exam, we will see most of example I'll be discussing in dollar, discussing in for the US companies only, so that you make yourself equipped with those kind of environment to sit for the exam.
ओके सर, नहीं नहीं वैसे ठीक है, बस आपको सिनोनिम पता रहेगा तो आप बहुत जल्दी रिलेट कर सकते हो चीजों
Yeah,
को, बट
yeah, yeah, absolutely true, absolutely true. Cool. So this is step 3, determining the transaction price. Step 4 is allocating the transaction price to the performance obligation. So in step 2, we have identified, let's say, let's continue with the example of car sale, right? Along with the car, you will be getting, let's say, 1-year warranty. You'll be getting insurance, you'll be getting road tax paid, and you'll be getting certain accessories. And in a lump sum, you paid $50,000. Right? So these are the 4 performance obligations. So now you have received $50,000. How do you allocate this $50,000 for the car? How do you allocate the amount to the warranty? How do you allocate the amount to the road tax? How do you allocate the amount to the accessories or insurance which you have received? So here you need to identify the standalone selling price of the respective item. That means if you are not buying car from me and I'm giving you 1-year warranty, how much I will be charging for that warranty, right? If you are not buying car from me, I'm selling those accessories to the market, how much I'll be charging for those accessories in the market. If you're not buying that car from me, but I'm selling similar insurance to others, how much I'll be charging for. Like road tax may be a wrong example, that is just a pass-through entry, but let's say these 3 are the component you are getting. An extended warranty, how much I charge for extended warranty. So first I need to identify the standalone selling price of the individual item which I am delivering to you, right? Yeah. For example, in case of laptop, how much I charge for hardware, how much I charge for antivirus, how much I charge for the bag, how much I charge for window, right? So individual standalone selling price is something you need to consider as a base, right? To consider as a base, and then on that base, there are certain calculations required to be made for the adjustment to reach to the allocation of the transaction price for the respective performance obligation. So standalone selling price, how do you calculate the standalone selling price? First is observable price. That means you are selling those product individually in the market and you know like their market price. If, for example, you do not sell those things individually in market, like car along with the warranty, right? You will give the warranty, only somebody buy the car from you, like original warranty, right? Otherwise, why do you give warranty if no one is buying car from you? Make sense? Or maybe let's say flight. So in US we have like airline called Delta, right? And we have airline called American Airlines. We have airline called Jet, and Lufthansa, and many more, right? And now let's say in Delta, they need to price for their ticket. How do they price for their ticket?
Sorry. So they price their ticket based on economy class or business class, and with food and beverage, without food and beverage, and I think these are the 3-4 major component they will
these
consider.
are internal consideration. But you know, their price are fluctuate in every second. If those all things are fixed in nature, right? But why their pricing are fluctuating in every second?
Anji.
Right?
Right,
Those
sir.
all things are fixed in nature, but why their pricing are fluctuating in every second?
Okay. Why their pricing fluctuates? I mean, you are saying कि किसी आज के दिन में देखूं, कल का मुझे फ्लाइट चाहिए तो उसका रेट डिफरेंट होगा, और आज से 1 महीने बाद की बुकिंग कोई कराता हूं तो उसका रेट डिफरेंट होगा.
No, let's say, for example, today we are sitting on 10th of July, right?
जी.
If you have to go, let's say, from San Francisco to New York, you will see the pricing of a flight, let's say $200, right? And which is like a month later, 10th of August is the flight date, which you are looking at. The current pricing is $200. But if you go on 8th of August, what will be the price of 10th August flight?
Okay.
What will be, like more or less or same? What is your experience?
नहीं सर, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस तो यही है कि their price vary from fluctuates date depending upon how early you book. Okay. The more early you book for the later date, so I think the price you get are cheaper compared to.
Yeah. So for example, today you are planning to book a flight from San Francisco to New York, and the price is $200 for 10th August flight. Now you are on 4th of August instead of 10th of July, and you want to buy a ticket from San Francisco to New York for 10th of August. Would it be more price than 200 or less?
टेंथ ऑफ जुलाई के तो हाई प्राइस होंगे.
No, I'll tell you example again. So today is 10th of July, and today you are looking at the price for the flight on 10th of August from San Francisco to New York, and it is showing you $200, right?
Okay.
And now today you have not booked, and it's being like first week of August. Now you want to book the flight for 10th of August.
Acha.
So price would be more or less?
Price will be more.
Why? If everything is fixed, then why?
नहीं पता सर, ये चीज का नहीं पता.
Yeah, that is what adjusted market assessment approach is. So where you see the demand, where you see the how competitors, like for example, you're looking for Delta flight, how like KLM is booking, how Lufthansa is going on, how American airline is doing, how the demand is overall, right? Based on those, they do like market assessment, and accordingly they change the price.
ओहो, ओके. तो वो मार्केट असेसमेंट करते हैं सारी
adjusted market assessment approach.
ये सारी एयरलाइंस इसी तरीके से करती हैं.
Absolutely. Okay. Right. So next one is expected cost plus margin approach. Like you guys, your company is doing cost plus markup approach for the sales price, right? You know your costing for individual hour, and on that you will mark up the amount, and accordingly you bill to your respective customers, right?
Yes.
So that come under the cost plus markup approach.
अच्छा, तो सर एक सेकेंड, ये वाली चीज हम लोग भी काफी डील करते हैं, जहाँ पे ये लोग मार्जिन बहुत सारी चीजों को बीच में लेके आते हैं. सो वो यही होता है कि अब देखो इनका बिजनेस क्या है. मैं जैसे वो एग्जांपल लेता हूँ. एग्जांपल ये है इनका कि कंसल्टेंट्स प्रोवाइड करते हैं ये लोग टू सम कंपनीज जो अपने कस्टमर्स हैं, उनको स्टाफिंग ऑगमेंटेशन के तौर पे कस्टमर्स प्रोवाइड करते हैं. सो नाउ दे आर सॉरी कस्टमर कह रहा हूँ, कंसल्टेंट प्रोवाइड करते हैं कस्टमर्स को. सो अब कंसल्टेंट जो जाएंगे उन कंसल्टेंट को भी इनको पे करना पड़ेगा ऑब्वियसली आर्ली बेसिस पे. ठीक है, तो एक हो गया बिल टू रेट और एक हो गया इनका पेड टू रेट. तो जो इसके बीच का डिफरेंस है वो अपना मार्जिन मानते हैं लोग. तो कॉस्ट तो वो गई जो अपने कंसल्टेंट को पे कर रहे हैं, और जो बिल किया सामने वाले को उसके बीच का और इसका डिफरेंस जो है वो इनका मार्जिन है.
Yes, that is called cost plus markup approach.
कॉस्ट प्लस मार्जिन.
Generally, most of the offshore companies work in this cost plus markup approach.
अच्छा, तो इसमें क्या डिफरेंस हो जाता है वैसे?
We'll come to that, don't worry.
अच्छा ठीक है.
अभी तो we are just at 30,000
ठीक है
feet
ठीक है
high.
ठीक है ठीक है.
Don't just dive at the ground.
नहीं ठीक है ठीक है.
You are taking helicopter view as of now.
नहीं.
Cool. So next one is residual approach. When none of these above apply, then only you will go with the residual approach. In residual approach, for example, you have 5 things. For example, you are taking a laptop, right? In the laptop, you got hardware, operating system, window, and your antivirus, right? You have the sales price for hardware, you have a sales price for Windows, you have sales price for the antivirus, but you do not know the sales price of the operating system. So how do you calculate? So first you separate all the respective sales price, whatever is the balance is the residual value, that is the value of the operating system. So that's how we calculate, but it's the least approach used.
Right? Residual मतलब कि जो बच गया.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Next is allocating discount on one or more performance obligation. So for example, like the market value MRP of the laptop along with the operating system, Windows system, and antivirus and back, these 5 things is, let's say, $1,000. Now it's a Black Friday sale. Have you heard about this term before? Black Friday sale? Have you heard about this term, Black Friday sale?
मैं समझा नहीं सर, क्या वर्ड बोला आपने?
Black Friday sale.
Black Friday sale, हाँ जी सुना है.
Right? In US, it's extremely famous. Like how we have sales in New Year or sales in Diwali, same way in US, the biggest sale comes in the Black Friday day.
Okay.
So there, most of the things are extremely heavily discounted. So this $1,000 laptop along with all these 4 things are now getting into 40% discount, is available in $600. Then how do you allocate this discount to the respective performance obligation?
नहीं, इसमें तो परफॉर्मेंस ऑब्लिगेशन तो सिर्फ लैपटॉप का ही प्राइस है ना, आप वारंटी वगैरह भी कह रहे हैं, बाकी की चीजें एक्सटेंडेड.
Hear me again. So in the alongside with the laptop hardware, you are giving operating system, you are giving window, you are giving antivirus, and you are giving backpack. The MRP of all these 5 things together is $1,000, which is your normal sales price, right? On the Black Friday day, you have given a deal of 40% discount. And all these 5 things are available to the consumer at $600. Then how do you allocate this $400 discount to the respective performance obligation?
सर या तो रेशियो निकालेंगे, रेशियो के बेसिस पे करेंगे.
Yeah. So there are 2 methods. One is specific discount and second is general discount. For example, like in this, you are giving antivirus and backpack free along with the laptop. That means you are giving discount on antivirus and backpack. So you'll be charging the discount to these 2 items. But when you are giving $400 discount, then at that point of time to the respective standalone prices, you'll be allocating the discount in that proportion. Right? That is called allocation of discount to one or more performance obligation.
Okay.
Makes sense? Right? Third is allocating the variable consideration to one or more performance obligations. What is variable consideration? Increment in the price.
Increment in the price, yes.
Right? So increment in the price also, if it is relating to specific performance obligation, then you will add in that specific performance obligation. If it is relating to general, then you will allocate over all the respective performance obligation based on their standalone selling price. Right?
Okay.
So this is step 4. So far what we have done, we have identified the contract. We have identified the performance obligation in the contract. We have identified the transaction price, and we have allocated the transaction price to respective performance obligation. Now it's time to recognize the revenue. Right? In the laptop, let's keep the example same, laptop and the car. So in laptop, you are giving 5 things. What are 5 things you are giving to the customer? What?
I mean, we are giving software, antivirus, backpack, and extended warranty.
Along with hardware.
Hardware.
Right? So here, like antivirus life, what is the life of antivirus?
1 year.
What is the life of window?
Lifetime.
It depends. It can be 1 year, 3 year, or lifetime.
Right.
Right? It depends on like what key you purchase. And for hardware and backpack, that is point in time. As and when you deliver to the customer, your risk and reward is being transferred. But you have a performance obligation over the period of 1 year for warranty, for the antivirus, and for the window you have given. So for those 3 items, you will be recognizing the revenue over the period of time.
Okay. उतने period में आप 3 साल में उसको allocate करके revenue recognize करेंगे.
Yes, absolutely true. But for hardware and backpack, as and when you have delivered to the customer, you are done with your performance obligation. Okay. But for warranty, for this antivirus, and for the window, you have responsibility for the year. So you need to, for these 3 items, you need to recognize the revenue over the period of 1 year. But for hardware and backpack, you will be recognizing the revenue at the point of dispatch, at the point of delivery. Right? Now coming to the car, right? They have given you car along with insurance and extended warranty. For delivery of the car, they will recognize the revenue upfront.
Yes, definitely.
One go as and when they have hand over the car to you. But for extended warranty, or for the warranty, they need to recognize the revenue over the period of warranty. For the insurance also, they need to recognize the revenue over the period of insurance. Right? So here, step 5 says, recognize the revenue when the entity satisfies the respective performance obligation. So you have 5 performance obligation, whatsoever you have satisfied as and when, for those you will be recognizing the revenue. For those for whom you have not satisfied the performance obligation, that will be considered as an unearned revenue and will be recognized as and when you will be satisfying those performance obligations. For example, let's say you have given $1,000 to me for 20 classes. Right? As and when I deliver all these 20 classes, for respective classes, I'll be recognizing the revenue of $50 each.
Okay, sir.
I should not be recognizing the revenue $1,000 upfront. Right? So here we have the concept of point-in-time recognition of revenue, over the period of time recognition of revenue, and then there are certain methods, which is called output method and input method. Output method of the revenue recognition. So for example, let's assume you are a builder, right? And you entered into an agreement with the company to construct, let's say, 10-story building. So each story you deliver, you will receive the amount for that and you will recognize the revenue for that. Right? Here it is output method. As and when you are delivering, you are getting the money and you are recognizing the revenue. Right? Second example is your company. What your company do? Providing staffing solution. Right? As and when your team incur the hours, for the customers, then you will be charging those billing hours to customer. So here it's based on input, how much number of hours you are providing services. Based on that, you will be billing to the customer and you will receiving the money. So that is called input method, where you are providing raw material, labor hours, manpower hours, machine hours, right? That is called input method. Output method is where you are delivering the output to the customer and accordingly you are receiving the revenue. We'll be discussing more in detail, don't worry, but high level, any doubt, just let me know.
नहीं sir, ठीक है, perfect.
So do you know what is principal and what is agent?
Yes sir, I know.
Yeah, tell me, what is that?
Principal और agent ये है कि there are two parties who agent work as a for a business. जैसे एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं हम, जैसे अभी एयरलाइंस की बात कर रहे थे, तो काफी सारे ऑनलाइन एजेंट्स हैं जो एयरलाइंस के बिहाफ पे टिकट सेल करते हैं और अपनी कमीशन चार्ज करते हैं. तो यहाँ पे प्रिंसिपल हो गया डेल्टा एयरलाइंस, और जैसे वहाँ पे एक्सपीडिया वगैरह, देयर आर सो मेनी
Trivago, Expedia, Make My Trip, right?
Yes sir, right.
Absolutely true, absolutely true.
So these are the principal agent relationship between these two parties.
Yeah, absolutely true, right? And the last one is loss contract. Have you heard about this term before? Loss contract
नहीं sir, नहीं सुना.
Loss contract are those contract in total you are end up incurring the loss. For example, let's say for the real estate example, let's continue. You entered into an agreement to build a 10-story building for me. And we negotiated and agreed a price of $400,000, right? And after 2 years, you have built like, let's say 6 stories out of 10, and price of raw material are continuously increasing and labor cost is continuously increasing. And you expect your total cost for the 10-story building is going to be 500,000, whereas your revenue is 400,000. So this contract for you is a loss contract, and you need to recognize the loss of $100,000 immediately as and when you come to this attention. That is called loss contract. Make sense?
Loss contract ही loss पे होता है क्या?
Yes, the contract which is end up incurring loss for your company.
तो ऐसा कौन से contract होते होंगे जो loss
like there are a lot of long-term contracts which get into a loss contract, especially when there is no escalation clause, when there is no increment clause, when like newly builder or new contractor enter into an agreement just to penetrate into the market.
अच्छा.
Yeah, so market is very difficult. It's not easy for business to penetrate. Sometime company get into a loss agreement as well.
अच्छा, मतलब loss मतलब अपनी cost से कम पे deliver करेगी.
Yes. To penetrate in the market, we also do.
मैं पहली बार सुना सर ये.
For example, we'll discuss offline. We also do sometimes. Yeah, just to penetrate in the market, we need might be strategical decisions. So this is like 5-step model which we'll be learning in detail. In addition to that, there are a few more small concepts like contract cost. Contract cost is actually that cost which you have incurred to obtain that contract. That is an incremental cost to obtain that contract. Have you heard about like tender?
Yes.
Right? For tender, sometimes you incur legal fees. Sometimes you incur advance. You need to pay non-refundable advance or tender fees. Right? These all comes under the cost for obtaining that contract. So here you have an option in ASC 606. You can capitalize that cost and then amortize over the period of agreement. Okay. Right? For that you can recognize contract asset. For example, let's say you have paid $50,000 to obtain any contract. So that include your legal fees, your you can say your CPA fees, and your tender fees and everything clubbed together, let's say you incur $50,000 for a $5 million project or tender. So that $50,000 you can capitalize and you can amortize over the period of, let's say, 5 years is the contract life. So you can amortize over the period of 5 years, $10,000 each year. So there you can recognize the contract assets, contract liability, contract revenue, balance, and remaining performance obligation. Next concept is a breakage concept. Have you heard this term before?
No, sir.
I know. I got this term first time in my life in 2013 when I was auditing a company called Loyalty Rewards. So like we were discussing earlier, an example, you have debit card, you have credit card, and every time you do the shopping from your debit card or credit card, and you get certain reward points, right? Now look at from that reward point company. Let's say Payback, PayPal, Loyalty Rewards, like these are companies who build as they are managing and maintaining the reward point for many banks, right? So from their perspective, if you see how many people actually redeem, how many people actually redeem? Any wild guess? Any rough guess?
That totally depends. कितने करते हैं, कितने नहीं करते हैं.
For example, I'm a loyalty reward company, and I manage reward points for the SBI. And in India, more than 70% user are of SBI. That's a factual thing I'm telling you. And out of those 70%, more than 90% are living in rural area.
Living into?
Rural areas. Anji. Right? So what is the probability that people will redeem those points and encash those points? Can you imagine?
There is very less probability.
How much percentage?
30% is not more than.
Not at all. 30% is extremely high rate. As of now, in current year, in Indian market space, less than 6% people actually redeem. Can you imagine?
Points.
Less than 6% people redeem, yes. Before they get expire.
Achha.
That's the market rate for today. So in 2013, when I was auditing this loyalty reward company, at that point of time, breakage was 2 to 3%. Oh. Now people are becoming more and more aware. So we are redeeming it. Earlier, like how many people were aware of these points and redemption? Like there was limited options available for redemptions. Right. Nowadays, like options are increasing, awareness is increasing, and everyone is getting more mature to redeem these. Right. So then today we have 6 to 6.5% only, and the rest of the 93 to 94% people do not redeem. So here breakage concept says company can estimate that how many percentage of their points will expire without redemption and recognize the revenue upfront for them. That is called breakage concept.
अच्छा तो उसका इसको एक बात है कि revenue कैसे recognize करेंगे ये?
Yeah, coming to that. So the bank, like for example, for every reward point, you will get 25 paisa or let's say 50 paisa, depend on your banks. Yes, no?
Points का क्या मिलेगा? कुछ भी नहीं मिलेगा?
No. Like for example, when you swipe your credit card, let's say you buy a ticket from one place to another place, and for that, buying that ticket is, let's say, $1,000, and for that you have got, let's say, 1,000 points. And 1,000 points is, let's say, value of 10 cents each. So that means you have $100 worth value point in your credit card.
Right.
That's what the math is.
Right.
And that company who is managing this entire show will get this $100 from the respective bank to manage and maintain these points. And out of this $100, only let's say $5 you get the redemption. So $95 is their income.
Achha.
Got it.
तो $5 को रिकॉर्ड करेंगे रेवेन्यू.
$5 will record revenue at the time of redemption.
अच्छा.
Right? They will keep $5 as an unearned revenue because that they are expecting you will redeem it or people will redeem it. But $95 they can recognize the revenue upfront.
बट सर एक सेकेंड, मेरा एक पॉइंट ये है कि ये अपनी बुक्स में दिखा सकते हैं इसको एज अ रेवेन्यू.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
बट ये तो कोई एक्चुअली में कोई रेवेन्यू तो नहीं हुआ ना. ये तो एक पॉइंट है, मतलब इन कैश तो नहीं आया ना मेरे पास.
नहीं, one second. Let me present the whiteboard. Can you see my whiteboard?
Yes sir, I can see it.
One second. So let's say here is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So let's say Mr. A, he has 1000 points. He has 1000, 1000, 1000, 1000, 1000, 1000. What is the total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8,000. Right? So these are the $8,000. So let's assume these are dollar. USD value, right? And now this company, which is this company, let's say PayPal in US, right? So they got this $1,000, $8,000 from bank. So they received amount from banks. Let's say he is a customer of Bank of America, like he's a customer of, let's say, Yes Bank. He's a customer of MX, right? He's a customer of, let's say, what other banks we have in US?
Bank of New York.
Bank
BNY.
of New York, right? This is, let's say, Michigan Bank. This is, let's say, California Bank. This is, let's say, Ohio Bank. So these are like banks, and we got like this $8,000 from respective bank, right? And now out of this 8,000 redemption, expiry, and balance. This is what the PayPal need to maintain. These are points incurred, accrued, for which they have received $8,000 from bank, right? And out of which, let's say A has redeemed $100, B has also redeemed 100, C has redeemed nothing, D has redeemed, let's say, $50, E has redeemed $50, he has redeemed, let's say, $100, and he has redeemed, let's say, $200. What is the total redemption? So 100, 200, 600, 500, 600, right? 600 is the redemption. That means out of this $8,000, this PayPal company need to pay $6,000 for the redemption. Let's say he has buy Domino's pizza for $100. He has got to Burger King, right? He went to some restaurant and redeemed the point, right? And this person do some shopping from Amazon. This person buy a ticket. This person buy a hotel stay, right? So this PayPal need to pay $600 to the respective vendors, right? Right, for the redemption. And what about in this, like for example, the points generally have expiry period. Let's say 18 months is the expiry period. Out of this 1000, let's say the 200 points have expired in current year. From this, let's say 100 point. From this, let's say 200 point. From this, let's say 300 point. From this, let's say 150 point. From this, let's say 200 point expired. From this, let's say 100 point expired. How much is the total point expired during the year? 200, 300, 500, 800, 950, 1150, 1250, right? 1250 has expired. So for these points, PayPal have no further obligation.
Right.
No further obligation. So you can recognize the revenue. Right? There is no further performance obligation. So I can recognize the revenue. Make sense?
Right, sir.
Right? And now let's say you have a balance. 1000 minus 100 minus 200. You have balance of 700. 1000 minus 100 minus 100, balance of 800. 1000 minus 200, 800. 1000 minus 350, 650. 1000 minus 200, 800. 1000 minus 300, 700. 1000 minus 300, 700. How much is the total?
15, 23, 29, 50,
5950.
Right.
5950. Right? So in this 5950, I will estimate how much can be redeemed in future. And let's say I assume out of this 950 will be redeemed in future. That's my assumption. And for that, I'll do all my math. So for the balance $5,000, this is what is breakage concept. I can recognize the revenue for this as well in current year, which I am assuming will not be redeemed based on the historical trend of the consumer. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is what the breakage concept is. Any doubt here?
सर मेरे को डाउट पता है क्या है? मेरे को डाउट जो मेरा था कि यहाँ पे एक तो बैंक हो गया और एक पेपाल हो गया, ठीक है? तो पॉइंट्स तो पेपाल दे रहा है, और सॉरी बैंक दे रहा है, बैंक दे रहा है, ठीक है, अपने कस्टमर्स को.
बट हु इज मैनेजिंग दिस पॉइंट्स? पेपाल.
पेपाल क्यों मैनेज? आप मतलब ये कहना चाह रहे हो कि क्रेडिट्स कार्ड के जितने भी ये जो मैनेजमेंट है
ये सेपरेट एंटिटीज हैं, लाइक लॉयल्टी रिवॉर्ड्स, पेबैक, पेपाल, बिल्डर्स, दिस कंपनी मैनेज ऑल दिस. नो बैंकर टेक ऑल दिस रिस्पांसिबिलिटीज.
अच्छा, तो ये मैनेज नहीं करते? बैंक नहीं करते?
Not at all. Not even a single bank on the earth.
अच्छा.
This is altogether a separate business, man.
अच्छा, तो वो तो मतलब ये हुआ कि तो इनका रेवेन्यू है ये पेपैल का ये.
Yes.
पॉइंट्स.
Yes.
इवन ये जो वीजा और ये जो बाकी की कंपनीज हैं, वीजा हो गया, मास्टर कार्ड हो गया, तो ये पॉइंट्स इन्हीं के होते हैं ये एंड में.
Yes.
अच्छा, मेरे को नहीं पता था सर, कि मेरे को लगता था कि
that is what I was saying. These kind of business insight will be getting in this class. That's the difference.
तो आप ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि अगर ये रिडेम्पशन हुआ $100 का या $600 इन टोटल करें, रिडीम कर लिया, ठीक है, अब रिडीम जितना करेगा तो वो पैसा तो पेपैल बैंक से लेगा कि भाई ये तेरा
already, like bank say he will take already in advance, as and when anybody swipe, and bank has to give the credit to the PayPal for the payment to the respective person when they make the redemption.
समझ गया मैं. तो
so
मतलब
PayPal is a manager, PayPal is a manager, Builders is a manager, loyalty reward is a manager.
अब चाहे रिडीम हो चाहे ना हो, पेपैल का ये पैसा 8,000 रुपए है, आप ये कह रहे हो?
Yes.
अब ये उसको रिकॉग्नाइज कैसे करना है, इसकी टाइमिंग में डिफरेंस आएगा.
Yes. So that need to be put in an escrow account.
Okay. एस्क्रो अकाउंट सर क्या होता है एग्जैक्टली, एक बार बता दीजिए मेरे को।
For which like PayPal cannot utilize for their personal expenditure or any other expenditure. That is for the redemption and expiry.
ओके 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 ओके, तो अपने इसको कुछ बोलते हैं स्पेसिफिकली एस्क्रो की, क्योंकि काफी एस्क्रो अकाउंट ही होता है।
Yes.
और वहीं पर ही अपने इन 8,000 रुपए को वो रखेगा।
Yes.
Even they cannot utilize it for their business,
not at all,
or their daily operations. नहीं,
only and only when there is expiry, and only when there is a breakage. For this amount they can withdraw from the escrow, but
एक तरीके से बैंक से एडवांस मिल जाता है।
yes, yes,
सही है सर, ठीक है सर, यही होता है ये चीजें यही चीजें आपसे पढ़ने का और कहीं और पढ़ने का ना ये फर्क आता है कि इससे पहले किसी ने ये चीज बताई नहीं, ठीक है, मैंने मतलब पढ़ा भी है और से की बात, लेकिन ऊपर से बस जैसे बस ये बता दिया, तो ये चीज पढ़ने का फर्क आता है। ठीक है सर, ठीक है, आई गॉट योर पॉइंट।
So this is what the breakage concept is. So let me get back to the notes. Next is disclosure and exception to the disclosure for non-issuer. So there are certain disclosure requirement for everyone, and there are certain disclosure which is exempt for the non-issuer. That means for private company there are certain relaxation in terms of disclosure. Those also we'll be learning. And then lastly we'll be learning some special item. Special item like revenue from long-term contract, like POCM, percentage completion method, ID project, infra project, R&D project. So those kind of special categories is there for the revenue recognition. Installment sale. So there is a difference between IFRS and usgaap for the recognition of income for the installment sale. This is also we'll be learning. Consignment sale. So there's a different way of recognizing the revenue for the consignment sale and the franchisee revenue. So these are 4 additional concepts in addition to those 5-step model we'll be learning in detail. Right? Make sense? So yeah. So before jumping in detail for the 5-step model, can we take a 10-minute break so we can restart at like it's 4:50. We can start back at 5 o'clock.
Sure sir, ठीक है।
Cool. Let's take a 10.
Okay, thank you.